What's up, everyone? This is Bill with BLRTUNING. You guys know what time it is. Today's watch, the yellow gold Invicta Pro Diver with the mother of pearl inlay. It's a limited edition Invicta watch that I've had for a little while now. Anyways, in today's video, we are going to cover the N900 SWAYBAR for the Can-Am Ryker. This fits all models, 2019 all the way to 23, 600, 900 Ace, Rally, Sport. It'll fit every model. Okay, we do have this available on our website. There'll be a link in the description below. So it's from our friends over at RYKERMOD. So N900, that has to deal with the type of material it's made from. Okay, so that's why it's called N900. So this has the heavier duty SWAYBAR piece, and then the billet aluminum links there that go at the end. Those are not end links. Those just go at the end. Those are the arms for the SWAYBAR. We do have billet aluminum end links that can go with this. And then, of course, you can do that steering stabilizer kit. Okay, and I have an announcement ready for this part of the video for you guys. But we first just want to cover this, okay? So these are the aluminum stoppers. Of course, it comes with some decals, some Loctite, paper instructions that you can follow. 100% made in the USA. Okay, so on this Ryker, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to use the giant bolt cutters. I call them the bolt cutter 10,000s. And we're going to cut the factory SWAYBAR. Okay, you can cut them with those, or you can cut them with an angle grinder. You just want to make sure you're not covering the bike in sparks. It's an easier install, or uninstall, I guess, if you cut those. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're just cutting that factory SWAYBAR into 3 pieces. It'll be easier to get off the bike. If you don't, I have a video I'll link below that will show you how to take the bike apart and get that SWAYBAR out of there in one piece. It's a much bigger job, but it can be done. Okay? I'm going to show you step by step how to get the old SWAYBAR out and then how to install this SWAYBAR. We'll make this video as quick as possible. You'll see this up on our website. There'll be a link in the description below. Okay, and let me go over something else we have going on right now for all of you out there watching. So I'm going to post a photo on screen here so you guys can see what we got going on. We've created the ultimate handling bundle for the Can-Am Ryker, and that involves the N900 SWAYBAR, billet aluminum one-piece design end links, and then also a steering stabilizer kit. All these products are RYKERMOD products, so you can buy them all as a bundle at a discounted price. But for a limited time, since we have an abundance of the aluminum black anodized SWAYBAR end links, we're going to offer those in the package for free. So it's over $100 value. You can get a steering stabilizer kit and a SWAYBAR with a set of end links for free. So the first step of doing this job, and on this one, we're going to be cutting the SWAYBAR. So we're cutting that factory SWAYBAR. I'll link my other video down below that shows you how to remove that SWAYBAR without cutting it. Okay, so I've done 2 videos. You can pick and choose how you want to get it off there. Getting it off there without doing that means you need to either remove a wheel or the A-arms to get everything out of the way and the suspension and slide that SWAYBAR out. Okay, so it's not a fun job. It's not hard, but you can do it at home, but it's just time consuming. So our first step is going to be, we got the front fascia off. Careful you don't break your tabs. You're just going to pull directly down towards the front of the bike, and that'll come off. And then you got to undo the 2 T30 Torx. Most of the bikes are T30 Torx. We've seen T27, T25, and push tabs. So you'll have to look underneath. There's 2 spots right here and here, okay? And then the front fascia has little pegs that sit in these rubber grommets, okay? So now we are going to loosen up the radiator, and we're going to lift it up and put it up out of our way, and we're going to bungee cord it up out of the way, okay? Okay, the radiator is held in. You need to take these 2 screws here, these 2 bolts out. They just thread in there, and then it will pop forward and up. It is sitting inside of some rubber grommets. You can see right here. That's what it's sitting on. Okay, so it lifts up. Once you pull it forward, it lifts up. And then we'll undo the hose. Right here, it's kind of clamped on. We'll undo that, lift it up, bend it upside down, out of our way. We don't got to drain it or anything. And then we can get back there to that sway bar and we'll cut that. So let me get that far and show you guys. Again, I do have a link in the description below for an even more detailed video on how to uninstall the sway bar. Okay guys, so once you get to this part here, you see we have the 2 bolts pulled out, and then we lift this up off of these brackets here, and it comes up and sits up here, flipped over upside down, and then we just have it tied up. You can just use some twine, a bungee cord. It doesn't have to be anything pretty, it's just temporary, but it just makes it so it's not going to fall and flip back down on you. Put a reg here so you don't damage the bike if it leans against the bike, and that's how we have it. So now we can get to the sway bar bolts, which are these bolts here, and then obviously the end links. So the first thing we're going to do is try to get in here and cut this guy out. Okay, we have our giant bolt cutters. We can get in right here and cut it on that side. We'll make it so it's 3 pieces. It'll be easy to uninstall. Okay, and I'll show you guys me cutting it. I'm going to attempt the bolt cutter 10,000s right there, and we'll see if that chomps through it. Okay, so as you see in the little time lapse there, couldn't tell if you guys can tell or not, but not easy to cut that sway bar with the 42-inch cutters like that, but it is a lot better as far as you're not throwing sparks at the bike and all that. Okay, and so now we'll undo these 4 bolts. You can see we have our sway bar cut. We just need to uninstall those end links down there, because we're going to be swapping those out. End link right here. So that's how we'll get all that off. And then on this bike, they are getting the stabilizer and then the sway bar and the end links for free. Okay, so you'll see that package. As of right now, on the release of this video, you'll see that package on our website, and for a limited time, we're offering the end links for free. Once we're sold out of those end links, it'll go back to its regular price, which is still a discounted price if you're buying the stabilizer, end links, and the sway bar. So even then, it's still going to be a discounted price, so you'll still see a link to it on our website. But for a limited time, you can get those end links for free. It's over $100 value, and that's on top of the discounted price. Okay, so let's uninstall those 4 bolts and the end links, and then we'll slide the new bar in, and we'll show you how that gets done and what needs to be moved out of the way. Okay guys, I wanted to cover something real quick. To get these bushings, you have to take these 2 10mm bolts out. There's a 10mm nut on each side of those. You can see I already have them out over here. That nut on the backside is probably the hardest thing to get to on this whole job here. Okay, it can be done, but so we use something like that, a socket that's got a little swivel head. Okay, and then we use the little power tool out here on the front so we can zip it off. When we put things back together, we don't use power tools, but you can use it to get this off, and it'll make a one person doing the job relatively simple. So you can see how this bolt's sticking out here. Okay, so we got that one sticking out. I'll slide it back in and I'll push it through so you guys can see. If we come around here, we can look right down the frame rail, right next to the suspension. Okay, and you can see that bolt right there with the nut on it. You'll see me now pushing the other one in. See, there it goes. Hey, you can see that one below it. So that's where you got to get to with a wrench, and hold on to that 10mm nut, and then those will come out. Okay, so let's get that done. Okay, now that we got those bolts out, you see how these bushings are, they clamp. So when you pull one side off, just wiggle it up and down a little bit, you'll slide the other side out, and you can see these just come unclamped. And now you can see we can get this sway bar out without scratching anything up. We go right through the spoke of the wheel. And there we go. Okay, that's why I say it's easier to cut this than to do it without, because if you don't have it cut, it is a pain to get out of there. You have to take apart the suspension, the A-arms, or take the wheel off so you can slide it all the way out. But you're not going to reuse it. Cut it, throw it in the garbage, recycle it, whatever you can do. Now we get to install our N900 sway bar and stiffen up this front end. Okay, so now we are going to install our sway bar. You see how these are sitting on here. They do say front, that will face forward, and this flat side here will go to the outside. Okay, so that's how they'll sit on the bike. So we're going to take them off. We're going to slide our sway bar through, and then we're going to fit one of these in place on the, if you're sitting on the bike, it's the right side, but looking from it here, it's our left. We're going to stick one of these in place. You may have to bump it into place with a rubber mallet. It is a snugger fit. And then we'll slide our sway bar back, feed it through the hole. We'll get our 2 bolts in place. We're not going to put the nuts on yet. That'll be our last thing we do. And then we will slide the sway bar back through that side, back through, and we'll install this other one. And then we'll slide the sway bar through it, okay? And then let me get to that part here and show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get our sway bar in. You see we can come right under here, and we can easily get it to go through. Okay, and then we will pop it into place. Okay, now we have our sway bar in there. Now we will slide our bushing over. Remember, it says front. Okay, one for one side, one for the other. So we'll slide this in here like this. Okay, and then we'll knock it into place. Then we will slide it over if we need to. We'll get the other one in place. And then we will set our sway bar in the correct position. And one thing I can't stress enough, guys, when you lift up your radiator, you have to unplug your fan. Don't forget to plug this in. I can't tell you how many bikes I've worked on where they said, oh, it's overheating, blew a head gasket, something crazy happened, bike goes into limp mode, all because they did a sway bar and forgot to plug in the fan. Don't forget to plug in your fan. And we always use dielectric grease in there and grease it up before we put it back on. Okay, let's hop to the next step here. Okay, so you can see I have this bushing here with the bolts just sitting there. There's no nut on the back of them yet. And then I slide that sway bar all the way through. So now we can put the other one in place, slide the sway bar back. And then we need to measure 4.5 inches from the end to where it touches the bushing. So 4.5 inches on each side. If there is any difference, there might be a discrepancy in your frame rails. So split that difference. So you just want to make sure it's the same on both sides, but 4.5 should be the number that you come up with. Okay, and then we'll slide those little collars over, and we'll make sure we can get to the Allen head and tighten that down so it's snug. That'll stop the sway bar from sliding left and right. Okay, so let's get that done. Okay, so you can see here we have our sway bar installed as far as that bar, and you'll see a prime example here of there being discrepancies. So if we measure from there to there, we end up just shy of 4.5. When we look at the other side, just shy of 4.5. So you see what I'm saying? That's what you want to look at, okay? It should be roughly 4.5, but make sure it's the same on both sides. If there's any discrepancy on one side or the other, split the difference. Make sure it sticks out the same amount. Now we're going to slide those little aluminum collars on. Okay, so here I took the time to install the bushings. There they go. Okay, so here you can see I took the time to install these collars. Again, I did it like this, so the Allen is right there. It is a 9/64. Jesus. Come on, buddy. 9/64. So it does use American tools. Okay, so everything else is going to be a millimeter on the bike, but your sway bar is going to use American tools. So 9/64, you can see how I installed it. Now we'll install the arms with them facing backward. Okay, out of an angle, we'll install them both exactly the same on each side, and then that's what our end links will connect to. Okay, and you can connect an end link at this time, so that way you're just dropping the end link in, and you don't got to fiddle with the bolt up on top. Yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so you can see I have the arm here. This is the SWAYBAR end link. This is the arm that goes onto the SWAYBAR. Okay, this is going to use a 532 Allen and a 3/8 nut. All right, and then you're going to reuse that hardware. So you can put your end link on there. If you're using the factory end link, you'll use the factory one. That's fine. It's going to go to the outside, so you can see how we have it. This is how it's going to sit on the bike. So we have it so you can read the logo there. Okay, it's going to go back like that, and then we'll flip them around and install the other one on the other side, exactly opposite of this. Okay, so let's get that done. I'll show you guys what that looks like. And remember those collars, just get them snug, don't over tighten them. Okay, you can see how they are right there. Okay, and then once we get these installed, then we'll go through and put the nuts on the back of those bolts and tighten those down. Again, all this goes down to 89 inch-pounds. Okay, so you're gonna need an inch-pound torque wrench. You can just use a cheap one from Harbor Freight. It'll work just fine to do the job. Okay, so let me get it done and show you guys what it looks like. We have this side all installed and done. You can see how it looks. Okay, so you see how everything fits on there. These should be able to move. Okay, they'll move around as you're riding. They'll move when the suspension goes up and down, moves left to right. So 89 inch-pounds for that bolt, that nut there. 89 inch-pounds for that nut. Tighten this until it's snug. Don't over tighten it. Remember here, 89 inch-pounds for these once we get both sides installed. So we need to come over here and do this side and make it look the same. And then we'll reassemble the bike. Okay, after we get those on. Those will be the last step in this install here, and then we'll assemble the bike. And 89 inch-pounds here, you can hold the nut on the back side. Typically, you want to tighten the nut with your torque specs. In this scenario, we can't, so we'll do the next best thing. We're going to tighten this to 89 inch-pounds and holding that nut on the other side so as we can get a torque wrench to here. Okay? On these bolts that go back in, it is recommended to put some blue Loctite in here on the threads of either the bolt or threads of the nut. These are nylon lock nut, but you should be replacing those unless you're going to use blue Loctite. Okay? Once these have been on the bike for a long time, the nylon starts to get worn out, and then taking it on and off the bolt can wear that nylon out. So that's why we use blue Loctite when we're installing these. Okay, guys? That's why blue Loctite comes in the box. Okay, so we have our bolts tightened down. Remember, these are snug. These are 89 inch-pounds each. Everything's tightened down. These should, like I said, these should be able to move. That's fine. You can see our RYKERMOD logo is right side up. Okay. So we got our SWAYBAR installed. We are good to go. We're going to start reassembling the bike. And then on this bike, they are getting our ultimate handling bundle. So they're getting the stabilizer as well. And they did get the end links for free. That's part of our promotional deal we have going right now. Okay, so we'll install our stabilizer, and then we'll walk around, we'll show you everything, and you guys can take a look at it. But this N900 SWAYBAR is installed. So if you got to this point, reassemble the bike, you're good to go. Relatively simple install. It takes time. That's all I can tell you. Is it's a time-consuming job, that's all. You should be able to do it hour and a half. You know, average person with the right tools. Okay, so we'll get it all back together. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Here's something I kind of left out here I wanted to show you. If you stick the nut in the socket and then put some black electric tape just around the lip of it, this will help you get it back there behind where those bolts are, and then you can, by hand, thread the bolt so it starts grabbing hold of that nut. Then you'll be able to get it in there, and then you'll be able to remove your socket. That tape should come with it. The nut will stay in place, okay? That's what we do. You can also do this with the open end wrench. Tape that nut in place so you don't lose it back behind there. Remember to stuff rags down below where that tray is, because if you drop one of these nuts and it lands in that tray, you're not getting it back unless you take that tray off or fish for it. It's not fun. Okay. Okay, so there you go. We got our SWAYBAR installed. You can see how it looks down here. You can see it from the sides. Definitely stiffens up the front end. And then, of course, this bike has the billet aluminum end links from RYKERMOD, as well as their steer and stabilizer kit. Okay, so remember, you can buy all this separately. There'll be links below. Or you can buy it as a bundle. You'll see that bundle available. You can get all three pieces at a discounted price. And at the time of this video, we are including the end links for free in that bundle. So you'll see it discounted with those end links for free. Okay, until we're sold out of stock on those, then it'll go back to regular price. So if you jump on it quick enough, you might be able to grab yourself a set of free end links over $100 value. Okay, link in the description below. Go check us out, BLRTUNING.co. We are located here in Vancouver, Washington. So if you're over here on the Pacific Northwest and you have a Ryker, you need something installed, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Look in the description below this video. You'll see an email and phone number. Okay, we are just off of SR 500 near Andreessen on 4th Plane. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Remember the links below. Thanks for watching. Peace.